The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pac Wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Welcome, Wolfpack fans, to the second edition of Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. We're an original podcast here covering the NC State wrestling team. I'm your host, Brian Reinhardt. I'm the communications director for the wrestling team at NC State. And as always, joined by the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio.
Brian, good to have you again.
Pat, great you came back for a second one. I'm glad the first one wasn't too bad. Second one's going to be a little different this week. Most podcasts claim that they don't need guests. We need guests. So we got
a good one. We got a good one today.
We might have found somebody who's been in Raleigh for all of 3 weeks, but we got him on the podcast. We're going to introduce him a little later, but we're going to have him say hi now. It would be kind of a mystery guest.
So I'm not supposed to say my name right now?
Don't say your name. Just
okay.
Talk to the Wolfpack Nation. This is your first time they're hearing you.
Well, first, Brian, Pat, thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here in Raleigh. That's all I have to say, I guess.
He's a man.
Surprise.
He's a man of few words. We will get more
Put
out
a mic in front of him. He gets tight-lipped.
We will bring you that guest in a little while, but we're going to go back. We had the first podcast a couple weeks ago. Talked all about practice. This new venture for us got underway. Pat, what kind of feedback did you get? Seems like a lot of people are really excited about what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's been very positive. I think it's important that we continue to grow and brand and get the word out there on all the great things that are happening inside this program, and obviously like the direction that this podcast is going. So we got to continue to build on it.
So for those of you who are new to our podcast, we encourage you, go subscribe. You can find it under Pac Mentality on all the different platforms. We are also posting these on gopac.com. But we would love to hear some feedback. Leave us a review, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We love interaction on Twitter at PacWrestle. Pat is very popular on Twitter, so he loves interacting with fans.
That's the guys always tweeting at me. They're keeping me on my toes, actually.
But in this venture, we are also working with Jason Bryant. Jason has covered college and Olympic wrestling for over 20 years, and he's a very familiar face of the NCAAs as he serves as the PA announcer. He has helped us with his Matt Talk Online, where we are a proud member of. He helps us edit and post and all that. He's very big on the national scene with the Grow Wrestling, which is an initiative that a lot of people are going for now. And just a member of the media. Pat, you've known Jason for a while. How has Jason helped wrestling in particular and just helped us out here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you said it best. He's the voice of the NCAA right now. Him and Brian Hazard, they do a great job together. But, you know, the knowledge that he has for the sport of wrestling, I don't know if there's too many people to compare to him. We call him the encyclopedia for wrestling. You got a question, hit Jason Bryant, because you know you're going to get the answer.
Now we're going to get into this week's episode. A couple of news and notes we're going to get before we get to that excited guest as he's still waiting to introduce himself properly next time. But NC State Wrestling, we're going to have a very busy weekend, November 4th and 5th. We're just a little way away from that. We touched on it in our last episode, but want to remind fans about this opportunity to come out and see the NC State Wrestling team in action. Before the NC State Clemson football game on November 4th, we'll be holding a practice over in the Close King Indoor Practice Facility, which is located right across from Carter Finley Stadium. If you're coming to the game, we encourage you to come over, watch us practice for a little bit, interact with both interact with both the coaches and the wrestlers. And Pat, you set this up, so how excited are you, and how much do you want to see a lot of Pac Wrestle fans over there?
Yeah, really looking forward to this event. I think it's going to be something unique. Like I said, I think the opportunity to draw some more people to our program, I think, is the most important part. Obviously, we get to attack a couple weight classes that we want to figure out who's going to be the guy. So a chance to win some prizes out there, be entertaining, meet the guys on the team. And then I know we're going to have a bunch of alumni that'll be back for both the football game and obviously to watch this event. So it's going to be a win-win on everybody's part. most importantly, our guys going to get a day to compete and demonstrate some high-level wrestling.
Should be an exciting day. Again, Saturday, November 4th at the Close King Indoor Practice Facility. Wrestling will be over there. I think we're going to try to do it about 3 hours before kickoff, so fans have plenty of time to get over there, enjoy, and then get to Carter-Finley Stadium.
Yeah, easy, simple. Come in, watch some wrestling, get some food, and then walk over and watch some football. So it's going to be a great game. Obviously, what football has been able to do this year, I think makes things even more exciting. And, we have also, I think, at one of the timeouts, we're going to get honored as a team. So appreciate what the department's doing with that to recognize all the guys' hard work and what they've accomplished on the mat and in the classroom.
You're exactly right. Your favorite NC State wrestlers will be on the field, have a nice little presentation during a timeout, and just to be recognized for all the achievements that this program has had over the last few years. I also want to touch on 2 more activities that weekend. Sunday, November 5th, we just learned that seniors Kevin Jack and Pete Renda will both be traveling to Princeton, New Jersey, and wrestling in the annual NWCA All-Star Classic. NC State has had much success up there. This is the 4th straight year that, Pat, you guys have had a guy invited up there. So what does this speak about the program that NC State has been invited to compete, and what kind of event is it to wrestle in?
Yeah, that event's always an honor to be a part of. The NWCA does a great job for college wrestling, high school, all levels of wrestling, promoting. So to be a part of that, obviously, it's something that it's an honor, and our guys are going to take a lot of pride in that. Wrestling itself, the level you get to compete against is going to be some of the highest level wrestling ranked wrestlers that we get to see this year. I think it's going to obviously start our season off in the right direction, and that's what we want. We want to wrestle the best competition. So this event, being up in Princeton, is going to be first class with a lot of great wrestling, and then obviously most importantly promoting our sport to guys and attracting more fans.
And you mentioned some great matchups, both Kevin and Pete. I mean, Kevin starting off number 2 at 141, Pete starting off at number 3 at 184. They're going to face guys right after them, so those guys are going to be hungry. Kevin's going to be facing Wyoming's Bryce Meredith, who's number 3 at 141, and that's a rivalry that goes back to your mat room. And they've met each time in the last 2 NCAA championships. Kevin got the pin in the 3rd place match, so that will be one. And Pete's going to be facing Northern Iowa's Drew Foster. He's a returning All-American, and he's ranked number 4th at 184. So how will facing this tough competition help both Kevin and Pete for the upcoming year?
Right now where those guys are at, both Kevin and Pete, they need to see the best guys in the country and as often as they can to help elevate their level. And that's something, Pete was able to do this off-season, wrestling freestyles, international, higher-level guys. I think he's grown tremendously from those experiences. Kevin, if you look back last year, he needed to be challenged more. I think a lot of his challenges came at the NCAA tournament. So this year we're going to face it head on, and no better opportunity than see Bryce first match of the year. Because they have, they've wrestled a few times. Their matches have been very entertaining, so we're looking forward to that and seeing some great wrestling. And both guys are, obviously first-class people and great wrestlers, so it's going to be a very entertaining match. And looking forward to those guys getting out there on that weekend and letting it fly and seeing the improvements they made. And, obviously we'll continue to grow and get better as the season goes on.
So those 2 guys will be in action that weekend, but that same weekend, a bunch of your RTC guys will also be in action. So you want to talk about who's going where?
Yeah, I think that's another important weekend, for our program. Obviously, they're not on our roster, but they are guys here that are training day to day. So our RTC with Titan Mercury's teamed up, and they're going to be heading out to the Dave Schultz Invitational or International Tournament in Colorado Springs. So we'll have all our RTC guys out there wrestling, minus Nick Gwizdowski, who's was just recently out at Colorado Springs. So he's on a little different training schedule and a little different competition schedule. But this is a big event because this event will qualify the highest place finisher for U.S. guys will obviously qualify them for the trials. So we need to be ready for this, and our guys have been training hard, and it's definitely a tournament that they need to have good results at.
So that's kind of the news and notes. We just want to catch everybody up what's happening this past week. We're going to be turning to that special guest. We had to go all the way across the hall to get this guy out of his office. So we were really excited. And Pat, I'll let you do the introduction.
So no better way than to bring down another New York coach, athlete back in the day. But ties run deep to the family of myself, NC State, Binghamton. Donnie Vinson from Marathon, New York, is here today, officially on staff, and been working hard since he's arrived, and looking forward to some big things out of him with producing more national champs and All-Americans.
Yeah. Thank you, Pat. No, like you said, I've been down here for about 3 weeks, but I think actually only in the room for about 4 days, and those have been 4 brutal days for me. You got me working hard, but it's all exciting, and I'm glad that I got to jump right in.
Yeah, I'd like you to kind of just give your thoughts on your very first day in our room, because I think that's important for the people to know, what went on and exactly what was going through your mind that first practice, Donnie.
Well, funny you bring that up, Pat, because it's kind of embarrassing. But I wanted to go ahead and take on one of the toughest guys in the room. I punched the bull in the face. It's not exactly how it went down. Pat decided that he was going to do his longest go of the season to see what I was made out of. And I lasted about 6 minutes, which, everyone knows in a high school match, that's okay. But by about 9.5 minutes into our 10-minute go, I was down on my hands and knees throwing up outside. It's a nice awakening. Thanks.
It was a good initiation for you with the guys. They've gained much respect for you, watching you outside for the 15 minutes you were out there. So it was good. Good first day for Donnie.
And like Pat said, Donnie was an All-American at Whitney Port High School in Marathon, New York, a top 100 recruit. Pat, you recruited him to Binghamton. What made you have Donnie as a recruiting priority back in your time up there?
Yeah, obviously when I was at Binghamton, he was a kid that was right in our local backyard, and his relationship with our assistant coach at the time, who's now at Wyoming Sem, Scott Green, he was running a club up there, so I obviously had a chance to watch Donnie train. Did we know he was talented, it could win? Yeah, absolutely. But I think more importantly, it's kind of the same stuff that we're trying to do here, is bring in the guys with the right mentality that can embrace the training that we like to do and the certain lifestyle we expect and demand outside the room. And on top of that, he's driven academically, so it was a win in all aspects for our program. And since day one that he stepped foot on campus when we were coaching him, I mean, he delivered in all aspects. So we were very pleased and happy that he ended up staying at home. He had the opportunity to go basically anywhere he wanted in the country, and he followed us here at NC State, but started at Binghamton. So we're excited to have him down here now.
So, Donnie, kind of going back to your high school days, during that recruiting process, what made Pat a good fit for you, and why did you decide to kind of stay home close?
You know what? Pat probably wasn't the main reason. I'd have to say that my family had a lot to do with it. Pat is obviously now part of my family, and both my sisters went to school there. It was an easy decision.
Wish I'd have known that then.
Right,
it tortured me in the process.
I was actually just trying to come up with a joke about why, but obviously I'm not clicking right now. So once you meet me in person, I'm obviously much more funny. But
these are bright lights underneath this podcast.
I think the stress of the microphone's getting them.
It's bad. It's bad. No. I just I liked what Pat was offering. I liked his strict everything about it. I think I needed that structure going into my college career. That and being only a half hour down the road and heading up every weekend to go split wood for my dad. Between those two guys, I was going to step out of line too much. So it was the right fit for me, and obviously everything worked out.
And Pat, at Binghamton, Donnie enjoyed great success. 2-time conference wrestler of the year, 2012 All-American, third place at 149. And Donnie, I'll throw this one back to you. Actually, you won 7 straight that tournament. Talk about some pressure.
Yeah, not the way that I would have wanted to do it. I was hoping for, just 5? But I'll take the 7. It's a nice story. But yeah, I came all the way back from third place after I lost my initial match, and kind of just left it all out there, which is what you have to do at that tournament. You can't really worry about anything else, and make a deal with yourself and go out and scrap.
And Pat, anytime you get an All-American, it elevates your program. So talk about that one year that Donnie got the All-American honors and how it kind of launched your success up there.
No doubt about it. I mean, anytime you get guys that can achieve great things at a program, it's going to elevate it. So, that was exactly that. He did everything he needed to do in his part. It was a very tough first day at the national tournament, looking back at that year, and it was a defining moment, I think, if you look at his career. And I think that's what's going to make him a great coach, is going through those hurdles. And, if he's ever got to motivate a kid to come back and do something great at the national tournament, he can talk from his own personal experiences. So that's value now more than it was maybe back then. But yeah, that year was a special year at Binghamton. We as a team finished 14th in the country. It was Nick Gwiazdowski's true freshman year. They were teammates together. They're teammates again now down here. So that history and tradition runs deep with us, and we take a lot of pride in that, and we want to continue to build on that. We got, obviously, goals we want to accomplish higher and bigger and better things than the past. So these guys' experiences are going to be very valuable to the future this year. That's why we brought Donnie on board, is because he knows what it takes to win national titles as a coach, and obviously as a competitor, he's had a lot of success.
And Donnie, Pat talked about that success you had up there, but just talk about your career path after your wrestling career up at Binghamton.
Yeah, so I actually had an extra year of eligibility after I finished my undergrad, so I finished up my master's while I was at Binghamton. Coached there for a year, hopped over to Ithaca, New York, and coached at Cornell for the past 3 years under Rob Cole. He's been very kind to me. Then, Pat gave me a call about a month ago and asked if I'd be interested in coming down for an interview. I told him that he was crazy because I've never lived a half hour away, so that was awkward. But no, he suckered me down here, and I fell in love with everything within like 30 minutes, and I was just completely blown away by the support and just everything that was offered here at NC State, and it was a no-brainer for me.
I was going to say, you really glanced over that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But you have never lived outside of New York, so I know you don't...
He rushed that one. Gotta go back.
Rewind. Really quick. So, just what do you like about North Carolina? I know you've been on the road recruiting. I think I've only seen you in the office twice.
Yes.
So you really haven't adapted yet. But what drew you to come down to NC State?
So I'm actually from a really, really small town, right around 1,000 people, 55 kids in my high school class. So coming to a city where there's this much excitement is really, really different and exciting for me. There's always something to do. After my brutal first day of practice, Pat treated me to a football game the following night, which NC State beat a pretty competitive Louisville. And then the following night after that, there was a concert, and that's just the average weekend. And with opportunities like that and just that kind of lifestyle and enjoying my youth, I guess, while I still have it, is something that I'm looking forward to doing down here. And that's probably the main difference. That and the beautiful weather. A little too hot for me the last week, but I'm making it work. It's really nice today, about 75 and sunny.
I know you're trying to adapt down here, but you've been on the road recruiting a lot.
Yes.
How is it for you now to be out there with NC State colors on and everything, and just interacting? How much fun has it been so far? It's
been a real blast. I think that I've been kind of chomping at the bit for the past 3 years of actually getting out on the road and talking to kids. Since I have been, I've realized that it is as hard as it sounds, and you're always going to mess up, but hopefully it's just in a positive way, and just expect that. I think right now the kids are enjoying my personality, and like I said, I don't really mind it at all. I'm getting to see the country and talking to a lot of great athletes.
And Pat, you kind of talked about Donnie's role and everything, but how do you see it progressing this year for him?
It's going to be good. He brings a lot of great ideas and something a little different and unique. And I think that's important as time goes on within a program. You always want to be evolving and adding new ideas and implementing a new plan every now and then. Not reinventing the wheel, but obviously you want to tweak and fine-tune your system. And so he brings an outside look right now from a program, and it obviously reassures a lot, but at the same time we can implement some new ideas. So I'm looking forward to putting all this to work and obviously keep growing the program.
I kind of want to know from an outsider. We haven't, it's basically questions and answers, but we got to hear some stories. Is there a good...
What stories?
From either... that's what I'm saying. Who's going to be the first shot fired of just a good story that no one knows about?
Oof.
To put everybody on the spot here.
Go ahead, man.
Why are you putting me on the spot?
There's only some things I'm allowed to mention. But.
Well, the running, these guys are jokesters, a lot like what we got now. But the one thing I do recall and remember is we used to all share the same locker room. And him and Nate Scheidel, I remember one time, our other assistant coach, Dennis Papadatos, it was like an 84 and 49 pounder, and Dennis maybe back in the day was like a 49, 57 pounder. I'd like to say I'm still an 84 pounder. I was still in the wrestling room. I come up, and these guys are wearing both our clothes, like they stole our clothes when we were walking out, like they were going. My street clothes was actually on Nate's body, and I think you stole Dennis's.
Yeah, for some reason.
And you had the hat.
Dennis had a fedora.
Did he have fedora hat?
So we won't let that one down.
The armband. I don't know what to call them either, but it was pretty funny little inside. I actually have a picture somewhere. one of these days I'm gonna post it on Twitter. They don't know I have the picture, but I'm gonna find it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the April Fool's joke of 2009, but that's a different story for another time.
We're not gonna share that one quite yet, but there's probably a lot of good stories. We're gonna have to think back some and the ones that we can actually talk about.
So now, Donnie, you're here. Practice is going full swing. How excited are you to be more in the Raleigh area and more working with our current guys?
Very excited. When I stepped into the room, it did remind me of the Binghamton College room, and those group of guys, they're still my best friends today, so I'm excited to continue to blossom with these new relationships. I think I'm doing okay with the new guys. They're thinking a little weird at this point, which is totally expected, but I'll start to rub off on a few of them here soon.
And our last thing we do, well, I won't say the last thing. I mean, you're our first guest. Well, we're hoping to get another guest at some point. We'll see how this one goes and what kind of feedback we get. But, Donnie, we asked 7 quick questions. First thing that comes to your head.
I get a timer out, too, make it a little more pressure on them.
Oh, jeez.
Stress them out.
You're going to be in stressful situations. This will be the first one.
Here, give him the spinner real quick.
Yeah.
He'll need the spinner in his hand.
Favorite cardio machine?
Stair stepper.
Like him even more.
Yeah.
See, that was probably the quickest answer.
Credibility went up good here.
Rumor has it our stepper machine's always taken during practice, but maybe you could squeeze in a few minutes.
Yeah, I actually got to sneak in there last week on Monday, and for some reason everyone was taking pictures of me. Little did I know that was a regular routine for Pat, so
Junior.
I was just filling in.
Junior.
There we go.
You got to learn the hard way sometimes, you got to get it. Your favorite class that you took in college?
Oof. Medieval Studies.
What was that about?
That was actually an English class, believe it or not. But we would read medieval literature and go ahead and discuss it. I think that's about that's all I need to say.
I know you haven't been down here this long, but you have a go-to restaurant in Raleigh yet?
You know what? I actually just tried a new Thai place out.
We might not have to name names. We're still looking for sponsors.
That's my bad. I'm a big fan of Thai food, and I was very pleased with the results.
If you're a Thai restaurant and want to have some sponsorships, please hit us up on Twitter. You more of a beach or mountain person?
Mountain.
I can name that for him.
Have you been to the beach before?
Yes, I go
outside
every
of
year.
New York.
Yes.
Working with the guys, who's the one NC State wrestler that can make you crack up?
Kevin Jack's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I like his sly humor.
Now you're married. Your wife will be moving down here in about a week or so. What's a favorite date night for you guys?
Every night. That's gonna give me some brownie points.
What's your favorite place wrestling has allowed you to travel to?
Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's actually probably not true. No, North Carolina. This is a happening town, and I've always wanted to move down south, and this is the place to be. So I'm really, really excited about this new place. And it's not your average wrestling town. It's not a Fargo. It's not a Tulsa. And no offense to those cities or anything like that, but Raleigh's a good time.
Well, Pat, I think that almost wraps up our first guest. I thought it went pretty well today.
Yeah, we just got to dim the lights next time for Donnie, and I think we'll be in a good spot. So,
well, there's also a little bit of pressure. We had a live audience here today. We won't name names.
Yep, sitting in the back, taking pictures, Snapchatting.
First time we have done this in front of a live audience.
Yep.
But that's all for today's Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. We want to thank you for listening. Again, please go subscribe to our channels. Give us feedback on Twitter @PackWrestle. We want to do a Q&A one time. sometime soon, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time. For me, Brian Reinhart, and Pat.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you.
Donnie, once again, thanks for being a guest. Hopefully you feel comfortable and you'll come back. We'll get you for another episode.
Yeah, just tap on my door.
Thanks, Wolfpack fans. Until next time.
Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MattTalkOnline.com.